Hello and welcome back to Stories with me, Jesse. Today's stories come once again from the insanely rude and self-righteous adults over at Reddit/entitledparents. Let me know what you think of these stories in the comments, as well as any suggestions you might have that we may just use in a future installment. Sit back and enjoy the entertainment, because we're getting started now. Our first story is titled, She's My Sister. Hey, so I was browsing this sub and remembered something that happened a few years ago. I was 15 to 16, and I liked this girl in my class. I went up to her and asked her if she wanted to see a movie. She said yes, so that weekend we went to see some movie that I forgot, and later went to get lunch at this sandwich joint whose owner I was a friend of, where this scene happened. I don't remember exactly what she said, but I got the gist of it. Entitled mother walks up to us talking with a crying baby in arm.
What is wrong with this generation?
Do you want to specify?
Gladly. I hate seeing this everywhere I go. Young people like yourselves getting into relationships. It's so disappointing.
Entitled mother looking at the girl.
Trust me, honey. Men are pigs. My man left me to deal with 3 kids all on my own. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Believe me, darling, you're too young to understand the world. You're just going through a phase. What will your parents think of this?
Both our parents were completely aware and fine with what we were doing.
I don't want my kids to grow up in this sinful environment. Please take your stuff somewhere else, darling.
I've had enough of her at this point. We had the whole store's attention, like 10 people. I'm sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but she's my sister. We're fraternal twins. We're waiting for our parents. The owner was losing his behind the counter. It seemed like he was laughing at the woman.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Everyone at the store had a sweeping grin on their faces, and the woman awkwardly walked to her car and drove away. Girl to me.
Wonder why your man left her.
I think my date liked that, because now we are engaged and I plan to propose to her by the end of this whole COVID thing. Anyways, don't get in the way of someone's day because you don't like what you see. That's as good of an excuse as any to get a Karen to leave in that situation. That lady really should just mind her business. And really, that's sweet you guys are still together a few years later. Just try not to become entitled parents yourselves in the future. Moving on, our next story is called, Entitled Mom Tries to Steal My Face Mask, Gets Kicked Out of the Store. Howdy. So this happened yesterday and I'm still kinda pissed about it. The stupidity of some of the people I come across at work could give anyone a migraine. Yesterday, I added yet another person to my list of idiot customers that I've seen at work. A bit of background information. I'm a cashier/stalker at a local grocery store in my town. Due to us being an essential establishment, we've been able to stay open. The problem is, the store doesn't provide us employees with much to protect ourselves. The best they've been able to do is give us disposable gloves, which I suppose is still better than nothing. Still, I live with my 60-year-old mom and I don't want to bring anything home from work that might put her at risk. I voiced those concerns to a friend of mine who makes masks, and she happily made one for me. I've been wearing it to every one of my shifts and I've received many comments from people asking me where I got it. Once I explained to them that a friend made it for me, they usually drop the subject. Until yesterday, that is. So there I was, standing in my lane and watching the clock slowly tick by. I had already had some particularly infuriating customers before Entitled Mother showed up, so I was more than ready for my shift to be over. I see Entitled Mother approaching from a distance and suspect nothing of her, for she doesn't hold the trademark appearance of your typical Karen. Oh, how naive I was. Entitled Mother pushes her cart through my lane and I plaster a forced smile on my face and switch into customer service mode. We make small polite conversation and she seems nice enough, but then she asked me the fateful question that started this whole debacle.
So where did you get your mask?
Oh, a friend made it for me.
Well, it's pretty lovely. Looks well made too.
It is a pretty mask, a sky blue fabric decorated with red roses. My friend knows me well. Yeah, my friend has made me a lot of masks, so she's pretty good at it. Entitled Mother then gestures to her daughter who is sitting in the cart, playing on some kind of tablet.
I wish I could find a mask for my daughter. I wouldn't want her catching anything.
I'm sure you could find someone in your neighborhood who makes them, or you could try and make one yourself. They're pretty easy to make. And then Entitled Mother says this.
I don't suppose you could just give me yours.
I'm taken a bit aback by this question and move away from her a couple inches. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to say no. I need this mask for my job.
Well, can't you just get your friend to make you another one?
She's very backed up on orders from people asking her to make masks for them. Besides, I've been wearing this mask all day. It's full of my germs.
Oh, I can just wash it when I get home.
I'm sorry, but I'm not giving you my mask. I need it to keep me and my family safe. Entitled Mother started sounding like your typical Karen at this point. It's also worth noting that she kept slowly inching towards me during this exchange, as we kept going back and forth with her saying that her daughter absolutely needs it, and me saying that I need it because I'm an essential worker. She kept getting louder and louder to the point where one of my managers noticed us and was watching the exchange. After another minute or so of going back and forth, Entitled Mother suddenly lunges forward and tries to grab at my mask. I am able to move my head way back and avoid her, but her fingers almost grazed the fabric. That was enough for the manager to step forward and put a stop to her antics. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
But this woman just stole my daughter's mask. My daughter needs it.
Ma'am, I was watching the whole exchange and I know that's not true. Leave now before I call the police. At the mention of getting the cops involved, Entitled Mother realized that she could easily get arrested since we also have cameras over all of the check stands. She lifts her daughter out of the cart and leaves in a huff with no groceries and no mask. Thank God for my vigilant manager. What is it with Karens trying to steal face masks off of people? I really gotta wonder what is going through their mind and why someone would want to take a used face mask off of someone who feels they need it. I mean, it's rude and gross at the same time, but what do you guys think? I welcome your thoughts below. Our next story is titled, Entitled Grandmother Tried to Steal My Puppy Right Out of My Arms. Never thought I would have something to add to this subreddit. Welp, boy, I was wrong. So a little bit for backstory. A few days ago, I had to take my adorable 10-week-old German Shepherd puppy to the vet for her second round of puppy shots. She's super friendly and loves people, and was super excited and was giddy the whole time. Afterward, I took her to a nearby park to take a walk because she was definitely on the nice list due to her behavior at the vet. My floppy-eared Floof and I were strolling past, making sure to avoid as many people as possible because, you know, Corona. It was then where I had the following encounter. Floof and I pass Entitled Grandmother and Polite Kid on the walking trail.
Aw, cute puppy. Can I please pet it really quickly?
Oh, sure, I don't see why not. Tells Kid who looks to be around 10ish her name, breed, etc.
Okay, thank you. It was nice meeting you, Floof.
Please note the dog's name isn't actually Floof, it's Sadie. I continue walking Floof with no problems when 2 seconds later,
Excuse me? That is a dangerous breed. He could hurt someone. That's an attack dog, and he tried to bite my grandson.
Oh no, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you must have missed.
That dog tried to kill my grandson.
While Floof sits on the ground with her tail wagging at my feet. Floof has then decided that because we're talking, these must be new friends and takes a step closer and sniffs Entitled Grandmother's shoes. Cue the Entitled Grandmother letting out a squeal so obnoxious it makes the Wilhelm scream sound like a child's birthday party.
Oh my god! 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 Help!
Insert a crap ton of nonsensical yelling and screaming here. Me, getting obviously annoyed, picks up the dog and walks away.
No! You stay right here!
Grabs the leash and plants her feet. This lady then proceeds to try and tear the puppy out of my arms, yelling crap about how she's calling animal control to put down this raging beast. Finally, the Polite Kid steps in and tells his grandma to back down, and how it's just a puppy who didn't do anything. She begrudgingly lets go with steam coming out of her ears. The Polite Kid mutters under his breath how she always does this, gives me an apologetic look before ushering his grandma away. I know this is tame for some of the other crap on here, but this still shook me that there are actual people out in the world like that. I can't even imagine being that poor child. This will probably get buried, but that was my contribution to this subreddit. Dang. Poor kid indeed. And poor puppy. First of all, why do people always assume that certain dog breeds are inherently dangerous? That grandma should have learned a thing or two in her lifetime, but she had to go all crazy and for no reason at all. That Polite Kid even asked you first instead of just approaching, so I really hope he can learn how to be a better person than the example his grandma is setting for him. Our final story is titled, Entitled Mother Harasses Me, a Disabled Child at Disney World. My parents took me, male 10 at the time, to Disney World for my 10th birthday in 2013. I'm also autistic, and it's noticeable. It was especially obvious when I was younger, even more so because I was incredibly excited to be at Disney. Now, when you're at the Disney parks around your birthday, they give you this big old button that says, "It's my birthday," along with a space where the cast member writes your name. I was very proud of my button and proudly wore it over my whole trip. On this particular day, my actual birthday, my parents and I were in the Magic Kingdom. We were around Tomorrowland, just about to enter the Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. I was carrying a Stitch plush I had gotten on the first day of the trip, and these two little kids around my age at the time, a boy and a girl, Nice Kid 1 and 2, with their mom, entitled Mother, noticed my plush. They got their mother's attention saying, "Mommy, Mommy, look, he has a Stitch." Their mother smiled at them and at me, and then she noticed my button and said,
Happy birthday, young man.
Nice Kid 1 and 2 also saw it and also happily told me happy birthday. I was excited that they noticed, and I grinned and thanked them as I happily flapped my hands around a bit, something I do when I'm excited. Nice Kid 1 and 2 didn't think anything of it, but entitled Mother's face scrunched up as if I had just dropped the F-bomb.
What's the matter with you?
Entitled Mother asks rudely. I didn't hear her, but my parents did. My dad asked her what she just said.
Well, I don't want him doing that around my children,
Entitled Mother said, disgusted. He did nothing wrong, my dad said.
I do not want my children catching that and acting like him,
Entitled Mother spat. Me and Nice Kid 1 and 2 were not paying attention to this at all. We were too busy happily discussing Stitch. I was having an awesome time talking to my two new friends when Entitled Mother grabbed their hands and rushed them into the queue for Buzz Lightyear before we could get there.
We deserve to go first after what your child just did,
Entitled Mother smugly stated. However, when you're autistic at Disney, you get a special pass to skip queues. So, of course, we walk right on past Entitled Mother towards the Fast Pass queue attendant who directs us on what to do. She's throwing a fit about us cutting the line as my dad presents the pass to the attendant, and Entitled Mother totally shuts up seeing the actual pass. This was before it was all digital. Talk about justice. The funny part is that, if she'd bothered to look at the other pins on my backpack, she'd have known from the get-go that I was autistic, as I have a couple buttons there in case I got separated from my parents. Also, at the time, I thought Entitled Mother was just mad we had skipped the line. I had no idea she was all ableist beforehand. Again, me and Nice Kid 1 and 2 were having a nice, happy little kid conversation, so this didn't ruin my day at all. Side note, a lot of park guests and cast members saw my button, and I flapped my hands every time. Sure, I got a few raised eyebrows, but nobody said anything, especially not as blatantly rude as Entitled Mother. Even the characters went out of their way to show their excitement. That was an awesome trip. I hope Nice Kid 1 and 2 are doing well, and I still sleep with that Stitch plush every night. What a touching story. Such a shame that an Entitled Mother tried to ruin the trip, just because you got a little excited that they noticed your button. I'm truly glad that you had a wonderful trip, and thank you for sharing such a wonderful story. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for tuning in with me, Jesse. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and check out what other stories I have for you. Try and be a little more accepting of people today. We're all a little unique, and in my humble opinion, that's a beautiful thing. I hope your day is as wonderful as possible, and I'll catch you in the next one.